This is actually going to be really hard for me to even talk about because I don't even know. I'm not like I'm vlogging live, but I just want to say as this goes up that Oliver Tree, bro, was one of my most favorited artists, bro. Not even gonna lie, you know. Hey everyone, um, quick live. He used to make he used to make binds back in the day, and honestly, I used to watch him, bro. Oliver Tree died, bro, today. Like I'm not even clickbaiting. I'm not even like I'm actually being genuine. This is something that's actually like really, really fucking hard. Yeah. No, like this happened in Brazil and he got into a into a crash on a helicopter. Now obviously I don't personally know him, so I'm not gonna like clickbait or do anything, but I just wanted was honestly one of my most like one of my fuck. Oliver Tree was one of my most favorited artists on the platform. Yeah, both are legends. And Oliver Tree was just like one of those like was just one of those people, you know? Another big influence is not only was he kind, but he showed a lot of character and how kind he was. And I felt, I feel deeply hurt. Not right now, not the potato Wi-Fi. Please don't talk about that shit. It's not funny right now. This is actually a serious fucking conversation. But Oliver Tree, because of how kind he was, his dedication to music, and how his style eventually actually like caught up into this. And I know it's not completely known, but I did actually listen to his music, did listen to some of the music behind, it all. And I've been watching him since he did. I was actually watching him since he did Vines, believe it or not. That's how old I am to know to even just hear about him, because Vine used to be big on like used to be a big thing on the internet before TikTok and Musically. But it was such a huge deal, and now people are making jokes about it, and it's not fucking funny, and this is like another thing that I wanted to talk about, because Oliver Tree, big influence, really stood out from the crowd. As you all can see, his whole style, what he did, and honestly, just it wasn't even great, you know. Another legend, same thing as Little Peep, X, Juice World, Mac, Mac Miller, Biggie Smalls, Tupac. All these great legends are fucking dying. We're getting older, guys. Mind you, Oliver Tree was a young dude. Like he died today, 32 years old. 32 years old, by the way. And I can't even express how much like I wanted him and my favorite artist to collab, because him and so many others are just legends. I know, right? I wasn't notified until like 2 hours ago. And me and my friend, we were just like we were on call. No, I didn't get to that point. I wasn't focused on the time. I was more focused on the fact that Oliver, and hey Macy, thank you for coming in. But Oliver dying, bro, was just level, bro. This is just new level. He really made a lot, you know, he really did make a lot and really did influence my style of like not caring for like what people think about, what you look like, you know, don't care about what people think about you, stand out from the crowd compared to everybody else that just, that all follows the same thing. Hey sis, but nah. But also another thing that I wanted to get into other than just Oliver was that there were 5 other people that did die in the crash, and, this shit is actually really fucking, it's really fucking hard. Um, and I want to show, you know, no, people don't deserve to die. People don't, yet we also all pay for, you know, our we also pay for the deaths of what we cause and what we do. Us as human beings, we cause a lot. Always a little take and give, and it's sad. As much as people don't deserve to die, us as humans also, at the same time, we also have the tendency to, have the same remark as we do deserve to die because we pay for that. And that's the sad part about it is that what I've realized about death is that, it's, you know, like I wish Oliver was still here, my grandma was here, my friend Chloe was here, just everyone exactly. We cause a lot that we give back. It's take and give. It's painful, but also at the same time, I'm hoping Oliver and the rest of the people that, were in that crash, I hope that they're flying high and, that their families are safe and that, we can keep a safe on it. Yes, 5 other people died in the crash. There were 2 helicopters. Hey, Ainsley. There were 5 other people that died in the helicopter crash. It happened in Brazil. I can't remember what time it was that they died. I'm pretty sure it was at least 4-5 hours ago. Um, but just know that I hope all the families are safe. I know they're going through a lot. I hope that people on the internet stop making jokes because it's not funny, because this is a serious fucking matter. 6 people did die in the crash. You know, I'm sorry, Ainsley. You know, as much as little take and give, I just hope that everyone is safe at the end of the day. I pray. You know, as much as it all hurts, it's fucking painful. Let me check my phone real quick. Hold up. Yeah. I was not notified this until a couple of hours ago. 8 a.m. EST. Bro. Oliver Tree was such a big influence on my life to just even understand that, you can be yourself and not care about what other people think of you, you know? And that's one of the biggest impacts. And sorry about if my brothers are loud in the background, by the way, they're playing around or something. But anyways, he got hit on his bike and had mid-flight comment, yeah, and he passed away like 35 minutes ago. We just graduated too, yeah. I'm sorry, Ainsley. I hope that, I hope that his family's safe. I hope that everything's okay, because everything will be okay as much as it hurts. You know, all we can hope is that they're that they're flying high. Everyone that died today, everyone that died, in the last years of how the Earth's been alive. That everyone everyone's doing okay. That's all we can hope. But at the same time, just know that there's people out there who love you, you know, and there's people that love them. Same thing as a bunch of people who loved Oliver Tree like I did. Man, it just sucks at the fact that, growing up watching Vine and seeing how colorful and happy he was, even if it meant, that, there's a lot of, joy. I hope everyone, is all right. I feel like today hasn't been very great. He was on his way to the house on his electric scooter when he got hit. Yeah. Rip Prim too. Hmm. Do I know him? Well, who has lost their lives today? Yeah, and what's crazy about today is that, I was working out, you know, I was working on tearing down a barn too when Oliver's death was announced. I was also, I also wasn't, alerted by a lot of things, but all I can pray for everyone is that, people stop making jokes about his death. People, can rest in peace, move on, find some hope and, find a way to move on. I hope the families are doing okay. I hope y'all are doing okay because this shit is just too sad. Um and I thank you all for, coming in, listening. Not to mention that the fact that, everything like as much as these artists have a big influence on my life, you know, I just pray for y'all. I pray for, everybody, who's out there. It, there's just too much going on, you know. I thank you all, and by the way, he didn't deserve to die like that or even die at all. Yeah, no. Nobody deserves to die. And I do believe that, just know you all are amazing in every single way, you know. Same thing as what Oliver Tree said earlier when I listened, you know, that, we are all beautiful. We are all, we are all beautiful no matter, what the next person looks like. Because, we all are going to be under some feet, you know, at the end of the day. But it's beautiful to understand that Oliver had a good life. He was very is he was a very smiley and colorful person. I can definitely tell you that. When I used to watch his vines, he was wearing the jacket that his grandma used to have, and even just stylizing a lot of it. It was very beautiful. To even just even see all of it. Come back down like a huge impact on my life. VIC Morrow, Colin McRae, Bill Graham, Troy Gentry, Kobe Bryant, and Oliver Tree died in helicopter crashes. Yeah. all of these all these biggest, artists, I hope that, they're all flying high. Artists, basketball players, anyone who has had a huge impact on your life that has died. I hope that, is going on. God bless you all, and remember, Jesus loves you. God bless all of your soul. God bless all of your soul. On everything that I love, Oliver was such a huge impact. When you said Oliver Tree, it didn't plant in my head who the fuck was. And now I do actually love some of his songs. Got me through some rough times, definitely. That's what I'm saying. He made some impactful music. I feel like they need to, show him respect the way it's due, because he had a huge impact on a lot of people's lives, including mine. As even if he didn't, like, even if I didn't know him personally and he didn't know me, but he did have quite a lot to is that, whenever a music artist, is coming out, I hope that, they have a huge impact and have a huge, mindset on your brain, to help you understand, a lot of the things in life, but also to help you, get through it, you know. As much as reality is a pain in the ass, there's still a lot of good people out here in the world. And I don't think you all should, I don't think you all should take lives for granted. Oliver made a good impact on my life. Me too. If you guys been around since Vine days, you guys would know that they don't wait, what? That they don't kill another legend. I hope that they don't kill another legend, man. He had a very big impact on my life, on me and my cousin's life. And when she was fighting cancer, before every treatment, she would blast his songs on a speaker. He got us through some rough times. I'm telling you. The biggest rough times that I remember listening to him was during the time that I was in 5th grade. And I remember because like at the time, it had been some years since, like I didn't see him, like I hadn't seen him for years. Vine was dead, and there was like not a whole lot of place to go. And when I heard Oliver Tree, being played, my friend was like, "Yo, we should like, have you ever heard of this song?" And I was just like, "Oliver Tree, that sounds so familiar to me." And when I heard it, I was like, "This really sounds familiar." And when I got back home, I ended up going through that, and I forgot that that guy existed until today. A lot of people forgot because you know, some of his songs were mainstream, such as "Life Goes On" or "Miss You," type of things like that. Type of things like that were playing back like a few years ago. The songs that really blew up were the ones that like I really felt equipped to, because they were really relatable. Like "Life Goes On," it does go on. And at the end of the day, we're all human beings, and that really says something about it, because there's a lot of shit that I'm still going through as human life. It's a pain to even just hear about a favorite artist of mine's death. We used to play "Hurt and Let Me Down" all the time before chemo treatments. That's awesome. um but the biggest part that he really had an impact on my life was during 5th grade, when I was getting bullied and being called different names that I didn't like at the time, but don't care if it resurfaces. A lot of people keep, like, history. History repeats itself. But I know a lot of people used to call me, like, during that time, they used to call me things like "giraffe's neck" or "faggot," and "cracker." They used to call me, things like, you know, a whole bunch of other things. They just call me like every name that they could throw at me. Emo, you know. They would even just call me nigga, bro. Like they would interrupt me, and they would laugh about it, and I didn't have enough, like as much as my teacher probably would have believed me, their story I know would have been believed because it was multiple people, you know, being said that things. And the biggest part of this is that he really shaped me, like Ren and, you know, Little Darky and Chris Webby and Joji do, you know, especially X, Juice World, all these different rappers, you know, and artists that, you know, are, you know, big and have their own problems, you know, that you can relate to as just as being as yourself, you know. Having words to relate to yourself when you can't express it the most really hurts, you know. the the biggest moment was when I heard Life Goes On. That song like really just like shaped me to just not care, you know, about time, you know. Especially for last year when I would like I used to put that song for like a whole month. I'd put it on repeat last year and would just listen. And boy were those some good times, because I just remember just not caring, you know, about time, about what people said, because it doesn't matter at the end of the day, you know, about what people think of you, you know. It doesn't matter about, you know, about a lot of shit, you know, because, you know, life keeps going on. You know, we all make mistakes. We're all human, you know. We all say things and do things that, you know, we wish we couldn't, but that we wish we wouldn't, you know, or couldn't do, you know. But at the end of the day, life goes on, you know. You got to live your memories to the fullest. You got to live every day, you know, you know. You got to live every day like it's your last, you know. But don't go too crazy on it, you know. Don't go crazy to the point where, you know, it could be your last day, you know. But just make some memories with friends, yourself, and everybody around you, because, you know, one day, you know, one of these days, you know, I'll be gone. A lot of other people will be gone, and, you know, that hurts, but, you know, at least, you know, we weren't, you know, at least it wasn't, you know, a huge, you know, sudden break where we're all waiting for, you know, the end. Like it's a bad thing, you know. Death isn't necessarily a bad thing nor a good thing, you know. Death has never been a good or bad thing, you know. It's always been a neutral thing. You know, it's beautiful and it's ugly, but that's just how life goes, you know. You gotta live every moment like it's your last. And that's what I'm doing right now. That's what I'm trying to do, is live every moment like it's my last, even if I'm the most stressed out person. I can tell you for one thing, Oliver had his priorities straight, and he was, you know, at least he had a blast, you know. At least he had a fun time before he died, you know. Being in a helicopter, you know, that's something not everyone gets to do, you know. That's something that not everyone gets to do. And I'm just glad that, you know, we're all gonna have good times, you know. Whether I'm on the other side of the world from you, you know, you gotta live every moment like it's your last. Because trust me as a human being, I love y'all. Y'all are awesome. Find someone else out there. It could be anyone else out there. Don't fret. I don't ever wanna see you, and I never wanna meet you again. That song was so good, man. Babe, you too controlling. I'ma feed you to the wolves when you get nasty. Yeah. The crazy thing is that thousands of people still think he's alive because there's one news article about it. Just one news article about that, by the way. One news article. But if they want to believe what they want to believe, they can, man. They learned a valuable lesson from him, and that is live and love. Like, it doesn't really matter. Show everybody around that we're not afraid and we still see the good in life. We love you all. Yeah, bro. Bye, Macy. Thousands. Oh, yeah, thousands of people. Yeah. You know, I just say let people believe what they want to until they realize, that, that the facts are already straight in, man. A lot of people don't even want to believe it, A lot of people want to believe that he's still alive, that he's still kicking. I know a lot of people still want to believe that, but that's probably like one of the biggest things that I could ever say was, you know, was a love from it. And we definitely love Olive. And I feel like that's another biggest valuable lesson is definitely to just learn to love and, you know, live in love. Living is as doesn't have to be it doesn't have to be, like I got to do this, I got to have a ass party. It's just as simple as being here or being somewhere, being somewhere where you can just, love everything even if it hates you. Oliver, R.I.P. We all miss you. You didn't care. You didn't deserve. We all miss you. You didn't deserve. You miss you. We all do, bro. And their family, I hope they do. I hope they can, learn better to be there, man. Because at the end of the day, we're all beautiful. I saw I saw YTV on it like an hour ago, and I was like, "Whoa, what the fuck?" So I went to look him up, and it said he's gone. So I told my cousins, and told my cousin she started bawling her fucking eyes out. I know. When I saw the video, because like when I I saw the video, it was like a couple of hours ago, and it said what really happened to Oliver Tree. I was like, no, you cannot be, you cannot be shitting me right now, because like an hour before that, I was watching a video of Oliver explaining, that we're all beautiful no matter what we look like, even if we have a wrinkle or even if we have it, we don't look like everybody else, and that's what makes us us. We all look different. We're all unique, Just exactly like how I try to keep explaining to a lot of people that we're all beautiful and unique. Everyone has their own character, their own personality, their own interests, their own hobbies, what they're into, how we all communicate, and that's just that's just the biggest thing that I cannot shake enough was the fact that he left such a huge impact before he was gone, and that's just where I draw the line, you know. Yeah, again, I have some shit to do, but rebel, man. See you later, Fries. I hope you do better. Okay. I hope everything's doing okay for you. You have a beautiful day. Okay. Another thing that I wanted to say before we end off tonight, um, is how beautiful you all are. I wanna spread Oliver's message that we all are beautiful. The biggest things that we have in life don't even matter in 100 years from now. You know, so live every moment like it's your last, and leave a big impact on anybody surrounding you. Leave a big impact that is really good. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter, whether you live or die, it just matters, it just matters how, much of you were, and I'm pretty sure you all know what I mean by that, not in a bad way, but it's something as simple as, everyone is so beautiful, everyone's so unique, it doesn't matter, if I were to die tomorrow, there would still be another person, you know, here to here to give you all a message. I think if I were to die, I would give, I think I'd give a huge impactful message to you all before I even dipped, Decided to go chill up there on the clouds with my grandma and my best friend and everyone that, and the people who decided to take their lives, you know, in my life. Um, but I love y'all. Don't forget that. I love every single one of you. You guys are all different. You guys mean a lot. Don't forget that. I hope y'all have a great night, okay?